Okay, there she is. Next glued on. Sanded her down. When I put that board in, that little piece of wood underneath the sound hole inside the guitar, it re-split the guitar. That's why I have the 3 clamps on the outside. I put a little super glue in there and pulled them back together. And like I say, once the neck is down, the neck is smooth as can be, and with the body, I mean, it's in perfect alignment right now. I mean, the only thing that's going to pull it out of alignment is the strings, and I've got a new truss rod to put it back to where it is. So right now she's perfect. And my next step is to let her dry, and then I'm going to have to dress those frets and do a fret job. It'll be a first time for me too. I'm going to show you how I made my fretboard. I wound up discovering that I have, this is my sanding block, which has an angle on it, and I didn't know what the radius was, so I calculated it, and it's 9.5 inches. It's a 9.5 inch radius, and what I did was I made this little tool. All I did was I took a piece of string and laid that out on the bench, and made the string 9.5 inches radius and put a pencil on it, and I scribed an angle on here. And then off this board here, I had that angle, and then I just went over to my sander and carefully sanded right down to the thing. And so, you know, it's not perfect, but it beats, you know, giving the money to, giving 20, 30 bucks to Stuart McDonald. And then what I did is I took this, and this became my jig, and what I did is took a block of 2x4, and it fits there like a glove. So what I did was I just went on the sander and sanded this curve and used this as a template going all the way across like that. And so now I have my 9.5 inch sanding block, and I have my 9.5 inch radius jig to make more sanding blocks. And it was pretty easy to do. How did I determine it was 9.5 inches? Well, that was tricky. I'll show you what I did here. The fretboard was crowned, and I mean, if you look at the fretboard, it has 2 ends. It has the wider end, comes up like this, and it goes over like this and down. And at the nut end, it's a little bit smaller, but it actually has the same little curve to it, okay? And I made careful measurements. I made this measurement, I made this measurement here, this measurement here, this measurement here, okay? Once I got these 2 measurements on both sides, I was able to subtract that, and what I had was a pure circle. This is the circle. This is something called the secant of the circle. That's this line right here, right? If I know this length, and I did, it was pretty easy to measure this length, and I know this little height right here, I can determine the radius of this circle. Right? It's trigonometry. It's a little tricky. You can get free help on the internet if you're interested in doing that. And when I did the same calculation with this one, okay, it came up with this little distance right here, and these 2 distances here, I wound up with exactly 9.49 for this one, and something like 9.48 for this one, and so I'm going to call it 9.5 inches. And so that's what I have. I have a 9.5 inch radius, which matches the crowning of the fretboard of the old Harmony. Now I see a lot of people are using 12 and 14s, and it seems like 12 is a pretty popular number, but I'm just going with what was there, and so that's what I had, and so far so good. So tomorrow I'll have a neck on my guitar, and I'll start dressing those frets and seeing what happens. Thanks for watching.